Okay, everyone. It's Thursday, 8:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Central Time in the U.S. You know what that means. Live with Bishop Bill. Come on in, everyone. Let's see. No one's here yet. I'm talking to myself. Hope this is working. Aha! Here we go. Here come some names. All right, come on in, everyone. Yes, good. I'm not alone. You're never alone. We're never alone. All right. Great. I'll explain where I am. It's a little bright there. Sorry. Man. Okay. Good morning, Martin. Nice to see you. Good evening, everyone else here in the U.S. Okay. Come on in, everyone. Plenty of room. Hello, Mary, my sister. Hello, Mary. Is that Rachel Ray? Did that say Rachel Ray is here? No, Rubel Ray. Okay, sorry. I didn't know if it's Rachel Ray, Doesn't she have a show or something? That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, okay. I can't really see well. It's too bright here. Wow, these lights are really bright. And I turned these lights on here on a timer. I don't know how long the timer will go, but so if it goes dark, I'll have to find the light switch again and turn it on. But anyway, Janet, thank you. You said Happy Feast of St. Ignatius Martyr, St. Ignatius of Antioch. Yes, thank you. I served in that parish, St. Ignatius Martyr, in Austin, Texas, and today is his memorial, his feast day. So that's really great. St. Ignatius he's also known as St. Ignatius Martyr, St. Ignatius of Antioch, St. Ignatius the Greater. I don't know. He was he lived just he was probably alive. Yes, when Jesus was alive, he didn't know the Lord then, but soon became a disciple. There's a wild legend that says that St. Ignatius was the little boy that Jesus brought over and put, on his lap and said, "You must become like this little child," in a lesson of humility to the disciples. Now that's fantastic. That it sounds great, but it's not. We don't think it's true. We don't think it was in Antioch that Jesus did that, and that's where Ignatius was. His family was obviously a convert. Everyone was a convert to the faith. But anyway, he was martyred then, I believe in the year 103. And he wrote a lot of letters to the Philippians and the Smyrnians and others. And it almost made the scripture, the canon of scripture. It's kind of interesting to think that we could have been reading, a reading from the letter of Ignatius to the Philippians. But nonetheless, his letters are important, even though they're not in the official canon of the Bible. And on the way to being martyred, he said, his famous quote was that he knew he was going to be thrown to the beasts, to the lions, and he said, "I will be ground in the teeth of the lions like the wheat that is made into the Eucharist, to what becomes the Eucharist. I will become pure bread," he said, "for the church and for the Lord." Pretty awesome. He also said to those who would be there when he was executed, he said, "If you hear me, complaining or crying out to be rescued from the lions," he said, "I will know that you love me if you let me die this way." I remember saying this, and you from St. Ignatius Martyr who are watching, you might remember this. Every year I would talk about that, and I said, okay, I'm just telling you, if I'm being thrown to the lions and you're there and I ask you to help me, get in there and help me. I said, I'm not like Ignatius. I'm not like, no, I want to die like this. No, if I'm in there and the lions, and they're attacking me, I hope my people would come in and save me. Just kidding. It's not going to happen. But anyway, okay, so looks like everyone's here. Everyone's comfortable. Great. I am in Boynton Beach, Florida. That's about an hour, as the crow flies, I think, or maybe less, from Miami, hour north. As the car drives, especially as I did during traffic today, it was about 2 hours, but our seminary is here, St. Vincent de Paul. I was at St. John Vianney Seminary in Miami this morning and last night. This morning we had the board meetings there, and tomorrow we have board meetings here at St. Vincent de Paul. We don't have any seminarians at St. John Vianney. We send our guys, pre-theology guys, to St. Ben's in Covington, Louisiana. And we have about 9 guys here at St. Vincent de Paul at the major seminary. And another 4 up in Wisconsin, and another 3 pastoral year in the diocese. So it's great. It's nice to have a lot of guys in the seminary in formation. Can always use more, of course, so keep praying for vocations, not just to the seminary, but the religious life as well. Men and women religious and consecrated persons. Okay, so I'm here in Boynton Beach, and I'm hanging out with our seminarians. You can't see them. They're off way over there. There's a fire pit. They're hopefully lighting a fire. Yes, they are. And then we're just going to hang out tonight. Okay, but there's a couple things I wanted to share with you. One, I know Mom's watching probably. She said, don't talk about your eyes all the time. Well, so you know I've had a problem with dry eye and everything, and I think we might have found the answer. They're still a little red, but check this out. Or I don't know, this was new to me, but I was there 2 days ago, and the eye doctor, who's also an MD, was looking at the eyes, and he said, yeah, he said there's looks like sandpaper almost in there, but he said it's not bad, it's going to be fine, but they're definitely dry. So he said, I'm going to order you some special drops. So he said it'll take a couple weeks for those to work, but in the meantime, he said, I want to try something else. He said, I want to keep, oh no, hold on. I hope I can find this. I told you the timer might go off here. Everyone's fine. Okay. Oh, yeah, good. Okay, got it. All right. Anyway, sorry. I don't really have a crew, you know. I don't have a gaff, a boy grip, or whatever those are called, you know, and the camera people and all that. So it's all up to me. Anyway, he said, I want to keep your tears in your eye. So he said, I want to put a plug in both of your eyes, way back there and there, so that it won't drain in your sinuses and it'll stay in your eyes. And as soon as he said that, of course, he stepped out of the room, and I looked on my phone, you know, what is this punctal plug all about? That's what it's called. And it's a thing, and it seems to be very effective. And he came back in, and I said, well, all right, so I guess we'll just schedule that for what? You know, the next time I come in. He said, I'll do it right now. Didn't have time to think about it. So he put these tiny little plugs, little plastic plugs, one way back in there and in the other eye. You can't see them. But he said they could be there for a year, or they could just fall out. It's fine, but it's going to keep the tears in my eyes. So I don't know. I said, what happens if I cry? And he said, well, they'll just come out all over. So that'll be great. So we're going to see how that works. People said, how does it feel? Well, it feels like I got something in my eye, just a little bit. But I got used to it after a day. So anyway, I share that with you. I've never heard of that. And other people I've told, they've never heard of that either. But I've got 2 little plugs there in my eyes. So they're a little more watery now. Anyway, just wanted to share that with you. But the real thing that I wanted to share with you, and I'm sorry I forgot about it last week. I wanted to tell you about this. It's kind of a neat story. It doesn't sound like it at first, but it is. And that is, I told you a little bit about my trip to New Orleans a week and a half ago to preach at the Red Mass at the cathedral there. That was really an honor, a great thing. And then I went up to Covington to see our seminarians there, our 5 guys there in formation. And then after that, the next day, I went to visit my sisters in Holy Cross. We have Holy Cross sisters, and Holy Cross brothers, and Holy Cross fathers. We also have Marianite sisters, also of our Holy Cross family, founded by the founder of Holy Cross, Blessed Basil Moreau. So I went to see the Marianite community, and they're delightful. I think there's about 15 of them in Covington. And as soon as I got there, it was time to celebrate Mass. So a priest showed up, but they said, hey, we've got one of our own here, a Holy Cross religious. So I celebrated Mass with them. And afterwards, I got to talk. I was privileged to talk to Sister Suellen. Sister Suellen, I think I mentioned this. I know I mentioned this 2 years ago. Sister Suellen was serving as a missionary in Burkina Faso 2 years ago when she was abducted and kidnapped, taken from her bed, and held for, turns out it was 5 months. But I was praying for her. We were all praying for her. Around the world, people were praying for her. Who's the person? Coda on Good Morning America. I think she had Sister Suellen as her teacher or something, and she mentioned it on Good Morning America and asked everyone to pray for her. Anyway, so Sister Suellen just shared some stuff with me. I didn't want to ask, but she shared a little bit of her story that, she was there at a convent serving the people there in the parish in Burkina Faso, and about 10 people came in and they grabbed her, and she didn't know anything. They put a hood over her head and gagged her and everything, and then just had her sit outside on the ground, and she was just waiting she thought, well, maybe they're just going to ransack the house and then let me go, but then they grabbed her, and she felt that they put her on the back of a motorcycle, and she was just hanging on for dear life, and they rode for a while, I guess a couple hours, and then kind of just let her go, and she was in the back, in the backyard of a compound or something, just on the ground, and then that's where she really spent her 5 months, just being traded to other families or other places, other houses, and she said, thanks be to God, I was not harmed, or of course the whole thing was very traumatic. I don't mean to say she wasn't harmed, but she wasn't abused or anything like that, or violated. But they just passed her to different people, and she said some of them were nicer than others. They brought her food, and she asked, after a while, can I have a chair or something? She was just on the ground, 80-year-old sister, 80. Forgot to mention that. That's kind of important. Obviously, the people who did this are cowards to the extreme. But anyway, they were going to try to use her as a pawn to get money. And she said there was a touching moment when someone came out of their house and saw that sister had her toe was bloodied for some reason. And just without saying a word, this Muslim man knelt down, had a basin of water, and washed her feet. And she just thought, wow. She said, she wanted to say to the man, you have no idea what that means. Maybe you do. Maybe he didn't know that was a Christ-like gesture, but it just meant a lot to her. And she just memorized prayers, of course, and she prayed by herself. She remembered the whole Mass, and so she just kind of prayed the prayers of the Mass. And that's how she passed the time, and she always had hope. And then finally she went to another place, and one of the neighbors there called someone, and then the FBI was involved, and they went and got her, and she was brought back, and now she's back in Louisiana. But just very, she's very resilient, obviously, and she said, I obviously that was very traumatic, but I always knew that I'd be okay. I knew God was with me. I was more than anything, I was just bored, just day and night to just be on the ground or be outside in the back of a house or compound. Anyway, it's just a really beautiful example. She said, I pray for them all the time. I have no ill will toward my captors. And I pray in thanksgiving for all of the people around the world who are praying for me. She said she could feel that even when she was all alone, So that's, if you ever want to look it up, there are some videos. She won't give interviews. She said she doesn't do media things because she said it's not what it's about. It's a spiritual story. So she's done that in some of the local parishes. She's given talks to some of the parishioners. And some of those are recorded on YouTube. Sister Suellen, it's one word, Suellen Tennyson, MSc, Mary Knight of Holy Cross. So if you want to look it up, it's very inspiring. Now she's 83 and she's there at the nursing home, and delightful. So I took some pictures with her and the rest of the sisters. We had a really wonderful lunch. We laughed a lot. It's really nice to see. So I just wanted to share that with you. I thought that was kind of a neat, inspiring story. It's horrific, but it ended well. And she wants to kind of tell the world that, everything, no matter what happens to us, God is always with us. We're praying for each other, so we shouldn't be worried or be afraid about anything. And if someone like that, if someone who's been through a, an event like that can say that, that means something. Great. Okay. Now, someone I saw as I was telling that story, somebody asked about what's the difference between a Holy Cross brother and a Holy Cross priest. Um, so, in the religious life, in a religious community like Holy Cross or Dominicans, Jesuits, Franciscans, whatever, Maronites, um, we religious kind of take vows for a year at a time, poverty, celibacy, and obedience, and then after a certain number of years, then you can take final vows, poverty, celibacy, and obedience for the rest of your life. That's for the final vows is the big moment. Some within that community, some of the men are also then in formation to be priests, and so after everyone takes final vows, those who are to be priests then, and when they're ready, they can be ordained a deacon and a priest. Now, we should never say to anyone who's a brother, well, why didn't you become a priest? Why didn't you go all the way? That is not how we look at it in any way. It's two different vocations. The vocation is to the religious life, and final vows is common to all of us. But some of the men feel called to be a teacher, say, or, principal or administrator or something like that, or even lawyer or physician, but they're living under the vows, while some of the other men feel called to be priests. And anyway, so what we have, our community is the men and women of Holy Cross. Our founder wanted it to be like a family: the priests, the brothers, and the sisters. And so we have shared that common heritage, and we're family when we're together. So there you go. I hope that answered the question.